Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Wolo. I am a Nigerian immigrant. I immigrated to Canada in 2016, and just like I mentioned in my previous channel, I love to share information about the things I have learned while living in Canada. And I know a lot of Nigerian immigrants and other immigrants from various countries will be interested in knowing the things I have learned. So I I started my YouTube channel to share lots and lots of information and things happening generally in Canada, news about Canada, things going on in Canada. So I decided that I will start my YouTube channel to share the information so that people can be aware and people can gain knowledge and learn before they land in Canada. So today I'll be talking about some misconceptions about the provinces, the territories, and the capitals. Prior to my coming to Canada, I didn't do a lot of research. I just knew, okay, this is where I was going to, this is where I'm going to land because I had a family member in the province I landed. So I just was focused on the province I landed. And which is the province I'm currently living in, which is Manitoba. So I decided, okay, I'll do some research and give information to people so that they don't get this misconception just like I do. For instance, many people think, I used to think so I'm not exempting myself. So many people think that the capital of Canada is Toronto, but they don't know that the capital of Canada is Ottawa. So that's the misconception there, because there are lots of popular cities. Unfortunately, those popular cities are not the capital of their provinces. So luckily the map I have here is open, and this is the map of Canada, and I'm going to be talking about, I don't know if it will be clear from that end, but I'm going to be talking about the provinces and their capitals and the misconceptions people have. Number one is Alberta. Alberta is in between Saskatchewan and British Columbia. And the province of Alberta, people used to think, or people think, some people, I will not say people, some people think that the province of Alberta, the capital of the province of Alberta is Calgary. But Calgary is not the capital of Alberta. The capital of Alberta is Edmonton. Calgary is the most populous city, but it's not the capital. So that's one of the misconceptions a lot of people have. And then the next province is British Columbia. British Columbia is close to Calgary. So British Columbia, the capital of British Columbia is Victoria. A lot of people think the capital of British Columbia is Vancouver, but that's not true. So the capital of British Columbia is Victoria, and that's British Columbia here. And then from British Columbia, I moved to Manitoba. Manitoba just have one big city, and that's Winnipeg. Although there are other cities that are coming up, but it's not as populous as Manitoba. So the capital of Manitoba is Winnipeg. And then from Manitoba, we go to New Brunswick. So the capital of New Brunswick is Fredericton. It's one tiny, very tiny, I don't know whether you can see it from here. The capital of New Brunswick is Fredericton. And then from New Brunswick, we go to Newfoundland. So some people call Newfoundland Newfoundland. That's another thing. It's not called Newfoundland, it's called Newfoundland. So Newfoundland and Labrador. The capital of Newfoundland and Labrador is St. John's, and that's what you find here. And then from Newfoundland and Labrador, we go to the Northwest Territories. Okay, now before I go further, the map, if you look at the map of Canada, you will see the province, some of the provinces, it's like the map of Canada is divided on two lines. So you have the territories which are up closer to the Arctic, and then you have the provinces which are below. So Northwest Territories is up above. If you can see this line here, this is what it looks like, divides the provinces from the territories. So Northwest Territories, the capital of the Northwest Territory is Yellowknife. And then from the Northwest Territory, we move to Nova Scotia. And the capital of Nova Scotia is Halifax. It's one very tiny, very tiny, it's more or less surrounded by water. It's the part, what I call the Pacific region. They have a lot of wind. No, is it Pacific? I'll find out about that, but it's not. But I know the capital of Nova Scotia is Halifax. And then we move from Nova Scotia to Nunavut. The capital of Nunavut, so the capital of Nunavut is Iqaluit. It's called Iqaluit. The capital of Nunavut is Iqaluit. And then from Nunavut we move to Ontario. So Ontario, we have the capital of Ontario as Toronto. And Toronto, this is where you can find Toronto. And Toronto is close to Ottawa. And Ottawa is in the middle of, in between Toronto and Montreal. They call it Montreal, not Montreal. So the T is silent in Montreal. It's called Montreal. So the capital of Ontario is Toronto. And the capital of Canada is Ottawa. And then from Ontario, we have Prince Edward Island, very tiny island here. And the Prince Edward Island, the capital of Prince Edward Island is Charlottetown. So from Prince Edward Island, we move to Quebec. So this is Quebec, and the capital of Quebec is Quebec. So that's another misconception people have, thinking that the capital of Quebec is Montreal. No, the capital of Quebec is not Montreal. Montreal is one of the popular cities in Quebec, but it's not the capital. The capital of Quebec is Quebec. And then we move to Saskatchewan, another province that has a misconception. So people think the capital of Saskatchewan is Saskatoon. Unfortunately, no. The capital of Saskatchewan is not Saskatoon. Instead, the capital of Saskatchewan is Regina. Saskatoon is another popular city in Saskatchewan, but it's not the capital of Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan is in between Alberta and Manitoba. Then from Saskatchewan, we move to the Yukon Territories. Yukon Territory, the capital of Yukon is Whitehouse. So Canada is divided into provinces and territories. Like I said, if you look at the map of Canada, you will see the dividing line. The upper part of Canada, that is close to the Arctic, you have the Yukon Territory, you have the Northwest Territory, and you have the Nunavut. And then down you have British Columbia, you have Alberta, you have Saskatchewan, you have Manitoba, you have Ontario, you have Quebec, you have New Brunswick, you have Nova Scotia, you have Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm almost making a mistake there by calling it Newfoundland. It's not Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland. So that's the information I would like to pass across to people who are interested in coming to Canada. Before you make the decision of leaving your country, it's good to know, it's good to get an information about the country you are moving into, so that you can have options. A lot of options are out there, but because we have this idea that, okay, oh, Canada, Toronto, the first thing that comes to anybody's mind in Canada is Toronto, or Calgary, or Regina, all these popular cities. But there are still smaller popular cities. There are still smaller towns and cities that are livable, and you can easily get jobs instead of going to the saturated places like Toronto that is already overcrowded, and other places that are overcrowded. There are smaller cities where you can easily find job and easily integrate and easily settle in. So that's what I want to share for today, and I hope you've learned something today. And subscribe to my channel and invite your friends and family. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section and engage me, and I'll be able to give more information. So that's all I have for today, and wishing you a beautiful new week ahead. Bye bye.